Cloud9 this time starting on the T side. We're just gonna 5-man commit through this picnic area into restrooms, leaving Alex behind so that they don't get caught from behind. Pretty standard setup, nothing too fancy. Good hit on the Say bomb site. They got the right smokes. That molly, in theory, should separate VP. They don't get the fragging on the back end, but that was a good hit. That was a good hit. I can't blame them for trying. Clever bit of work by Alex there. Nice little frag by Esatag. Floppy doesn't manage to clean that up. They get the bomb plant, so things are definitely looking better than they were the last match. Looks like Buster's gonna have plenty of time to defuse here. Yep. That was a good hit. Pretty standard setup. They knew what they were doing. Again, I wouldn't say that that was Alex's fault. That was just, they didn't manage to convert that nice hit into the frags that they needed to right away. Oh, wow. Again, I think that was an issue with teamwork right there. If we were to go back and look, and anybody who's used the demo player before knows why I'm not going to, basically, they should have been able to hear those footsteps coming through. How Woxic was caught so flat-footed, really hard to say. He should have known that that was a possibility. So now it's a 1 versus 1, Mezzy versus Jame. You know, Mezzy kind of going through at his own pace. If you know Jame as a player, you know he's not likely to try any crazy pushes or anything. He really just likes to sit in the back of a bomb site and hold on to that op for as long as he can. I mean, I know it's a meme by this point, but Jame is really passive, especially in these types of situations. Well, just came down to a 1v1 clutch, and Mezzy peeked the right angles at the right time. Nothing too much to say about that last round. Got a little bit too messy for Cloud9. I'd like to see those aggressive plays by VP kind of matched better with better teamwork. You know, guys knowing the right places to peek at the right times. That's just kind of poor fragging by Cloud9. Man, VP's really taking advantage of the fact that Cloud9 is being a little bit timid here. They're just kind of making aggressive pushes for nothing. Although right there, Mezzy's able to trade back. Unfortunately, though, the damage is already done. Kindar managed to get those 2 Deagle kills. Well, Cloud9 were just kind of lollygagging around. I mean, these are the kind of plays that once Cloud9 has played together, they're probably going to be able to figure out. It just really seemed like they were flat-footed in this series in general. You know, they were caught out many times, especially on Inferno, where it just seemed like they were doing things very flat-footed. Alright, good setup by Cloud9, covering all their angles. Unfortunately, the way that this map is set up, VP can more or less guess what they're going to be doing based on that information. Yeah, and this is where I also gotta wonder why Woxic is holding on to that flashbang grenade that they could have used on entry. Like, why he basically let his teammates walk in and die. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter so much when he clutches the round out. It's just that could have been done a lot easier. Woxic didn't need to make that hero play. If they flashbang in at the right time and then check all the angles, he doesn't need to do that. This time it looks like the B hit. It looks like VP is ready for it, though. Ah! Cloud9's able to counter trade pretty well. Have to go back and look at that, but it looked like they basically did everything right. Cheeky little setup by VP, but weren't able to do anything with it. So now it's Yukindar versus the world. Yeah, not gonna find anything. Interesting look by Alex here. Instead of going for the early group together, they're going to kind of default here, try to get some kills. A deep push manages to get a kill by Alex. Bit aggressive, but I think it's probably worth it to keep VP on their toes, because we've seen that Virtus Pro themselves like to get a little bit aggressive. So I don't mind pushing through that smoke there, even though you only got 1 for 1. Now this, I think, right here is a problem, and the reason why that's a problem is because Essetag was pushed much further up into restrooms than the rest of his team was. I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna pause it here to show what I mean by that. So you can see, Jame was basically set up more or less right where he was now. And Essetag had pushed all the way up to here by the time he got found out by Jame, and the rest of his team was still all the way back in this area. So the reason why this is bad is because they aren't applying uniform pressure on the map. Basically what you would want is you would want these 3 guys to be all the way basically where they are right now, maybe even a little bit further, because what you want to do is you want to have both pressing at exactly the same time. This basically forces VP to make some decisions, because right now they have pretty good information, or they have pretty bad information. The advantage to having these 3 people right here is that they might have been able to hear James' footsteps, so they knew that at least somebody was covering this area of the restrooms. And that way, even if they trade, these 3 can quick hit here, and they know that there's 1 person here, so they can smoke this area off here, and then the most that they're looking at is these 3 guys. So this is, I don't know if this is a miscall by Alex or if Essetag pushed up when he really shouldn't have, but this was just a poor round by Cloud9 in general in order to take advantages of the fact that you can hit the A bomb site from 2 different spots on this map. Just something I wanted to show off. And you can see, because now Cloud9 is in a man disadvantage, VP are able to reposition, and because they had pushed so far up on the B bomb site, they basically have a really good idea of where Cloud9 are. I mean, they are still gambling on the fact that Cloud9 isn't going to wheel all the way around back and go to the B bomb site. But at the end of the day, it's a halfway decent gamble because Acetate wouldn't push that far up by himself. And you can see this round just kind of falls apart instantly. Pretty thirsty today. All right, another new look by Cloud9 on this T side. I think that this is also a good time to talk about the stylistic differences between these two teams. One of the things that you'll see out of VP is once they have a strategy that's successful, they just try that strategy over and over and over again until their opponents can stop them. Cloud9, on the other hand, they're doing different things here. As you can see, that time they committed 3 into the tunnels and are basically doing the counter of what they tried to do in their last side, in the last round. This time the setup works a lot better. They're able to get the bomb plant down, but not a lot going in the way of frags, and they pretty instantly have to take very non-aggressive positions with this bomb because they can't really afford to lose these weapons. Good find by Woxic. Probably just able to make out that silhouette through the smoke. Yeah, another worrying sign is it looks like VP is kind of out-fragging them a little bit. That was a really good execute by Cloud9 the last round. They just kind of lost out in a lot of aim duels to Virtus Pro. Good quick setup by Cloud9 here, manages to get some kills. Again, this time they're hitting the B-bomb site, this time from a completely different place that they did before. Even though it didn't end up being that well for them, I think that it's good to diversify their strategies, show VP something a little bit different, keep them on their toes, make it so that they just can't commit all their guys to one bomb site and feel safe. Yeah, this time Cloud9 is committed very early to taking this B-bomb site, and you can see because look at how far VP is pushed up in these CT sides. Not that Cloud9 couldn't wheel around through tunnels, but they'll at least have some forewarning because of where VP are set up. This is pretty good stuff by VP, actually. Because now Cloud9 basically has to do these executes perfectly. Good trade frag, but it does give VP a lot of information. Another trade frag, trade it again. Well, so far both of these teams are basically doing everything they should. Jame trying to work his way back into the bomb sites. Not immediately trying to save. Good adaptation out of him. Manages to find Alex, though. Not a terrible setup based on where Cloud9 were. Wow, just enough time. Fortunately, that bomb plant lets Cloud9 by again. Good play by Cloud9, recognizing that VP like to play very aggressively in that spot. Unfortunately, they don't see Jame there. Ooh, nice kill by Floppy with, with the CoLUL. Not a gun you want to use at that type of range, but he makes it work. Alright, we're seeing better things out of Cloud9. They're fragging a little bit better. I think that their setups have been a lot better too on these T sides. They're keeping VP guessing. Wheeling back around through tunnels. Once again, trying to keep VP on their toes. I like this delayed quick hit because it forces the counter-terrorists into decision-making, where they have to either commit to a bomb site, or if they don't, just make really split decisions. Unfortunately, they're able to get the frags, which is unfortunate. Jame pretty easily is going to be able to defuse this. Even though Cloud9 is already down by 3 rounds on this map, I definitely think that they've shown a lot more so far. It seems like their depth of strategy is better. They have a better idea of what they're doing. Yeah, once again, showing a completely different look. So far, I think offhand, I can only remember one other round in which Cloud9 looked like they were even interested in taking that water area. Now it looks like they're looking at controlling it. Wow, the double peek. Right at the right time. That's just very unfortunate. I mean, I think Cloud9 or VP did get a sound cue there, which let them know that something was likely going on. Yeah, now that information basically made it so that Quicker can push way up. Cloud9 are working their way back into this. Good call by Alex, just doing a tempo play based on the information that they had. Man, it's every time Cloud9 does something well, it just seems like VP is able to answer right back with good fragging. And the other unfortunate thing about Cloud9 is I do think that Virtus Pro are one of the better teams in this tournament. So it's unfortunate that they have to run into them so early. This is a good hit by Cloud9, even though they were just down to pistols. They were able to get on the bomb site. They didn't get a bomb plant in, sure, but they were able to do some damage. Unfortunately, now they're just way behind on the scoreboard. Mezzi's showing a little bit more, which is a good thing. Nice HE grenade by Cloud9. Manages to do quite a bit of damage. More really good trading by VP. Wow, it just seems like they're dinking and dunking this Cloud9 team all over the map. They know when to push, they know when to retreat. Just nothing is going right. I think one of the big issues is that this Cloud9 team is still just they're not well schooled, and if Inferno showed anything, it's that they don't they don't play as a team well yet, and not even just playing well as a team. It doesn't even seem like the individuals together play that well, if you know what I mean. Like, one of the thing about having a really good side isn't just the ability to play 5 men together, it's the ability to play 2 guys together, to play 3 guys together. That's a lot more evident on the CT side, where, you know, you're going to have 2 guys which are typically on one bomb site. Those 2 guys have to be able to play really well off of each other and have to do a lot of things just by feel. You know, something that you can't call, or maybe just one word is going to let the other guy know what they're supposed to do. And that's one thing that Cloud9 is clearly lacking here. Well, that was just another... Remember what I was literally just saying. The problem with that kill is that nobody bothered to check that angle when they walked back through water. So it ended up just being... Buster was able to get that for free. All he needed to do was walk in. He was able to check into the deeper water area. Didn't check the angle that was closer to that bangable wall. And nobody managed to check that angle. Yeah, now they're forced into taking some trades without any utility. Just really not great stuff from Cloud9 here, and that's the unfortunate thing, is a lot of this is avoidable. A lot of it is just a result of poor teamwork and poor planning. I would also say there's probably lack of communication going on. I mean, I don't even feel like I really get to judge whether these guys are actually fragging all that well, because they're just getting dinked and dunked around these maps. They're getting out-rotated, they're getting out-utilitied, if that's a word. Okay, this is a pretty decent setup right here, I have to say. Alex taking that corner is going to be able to get some information. About what VP is doing. Okay, this was a good setup through and through. Wow, what a flick by Jame. Wow, if Jame doesn't make that kill, this round easily goes to Cloud9. That was a good setup by Cloud9 though, because Alex being in that position where he was got them the information that a player rotated back towards B. And Cloud9 played that about as well as they possibly could. Would they fake the B bomb hit so that the lurker would basically stay there, so that the lurker would stay on B, and then that way they knew they would have a man advantage, on a 2-man advantage when they hit A. So that was really well played. It's unfortunate that their fragging couldn't keep up on the other side, but that was a clever little setup. Good kill by Woxic. Once again, on this T side, trying to mix things up, keep VP on their heels. This time they're able to find Jame pushed up in that spot. They knew based on previous rounds that that's a place that he liked to go. So now that one of the defenders is down on A, they just immediately go back and hit it. 5 versus 3. Okay, this is Starting to look a little bit better by Cloud9. See what VP are able to do here. 15th round, they have to try to retake this. Cloud9, because they were able to walk on that bomb site for free, they had all kinds of utility. Just kind of an impossible retake by Virtus Pro there. Alright, even though Cloud9 looked like they were starting to get it together at the end, they're still down big at halftime. Now let's see what they look like on the CT side. Over the years, Overpass has definitely become a bit more balanced, but I would still say that this map is still CT favored just because the rotates are so much quicker. There's so many ways that you can get information. Even though that was a good setup by VP, you know, Cloud9 on the counter rotate, because they had already had a lot of people wandering through the tunnels there. Wow, Jame is just on one. Wow, Jame is just kind of eating their lunch right now. What a phenomenal play. Quick hit by Virtus Pro. Let's see how Cloud9 responds. They already had two guys looking heaven. So I don't know if that was a gamble or if they had some information about the way VP likes to play these rounds. Unfortunately, Woxic not able to do a whole lot. Not a good start by Cloud9. They're already down to pistols. I'm not really sure if that was the best decision by Floppy there. The fact is he was already blinded on the way in. He probably should have just held his position. Alright, a little push by Woxic to get some information. Let's see if they do any kind of rotates. Well, let's see the setup we got. Mezzy and Alex on the B-bomb site. Looks like Woxic rotating back around through. Oh, that boost up on Esseteg managed to get a kill. Wow, things are kind of going Cloud9's way, even though it didn't start great. Good, really good bait there. That was a really good bait there by Jame. I mean, that's one of those things that because Esseteg is so young, he probably would get fooled into that. I think a more experienced player wouldn't be fooled by that. It's just one of those things that Cloud9 is going to have to deal with as this guy develops. I think it could be even worse if this were a LAN event. Wow, how did he not get that kill? Fortunately, Woxic knows where the bomb is. Looks like there's going to be a plant here. Oh, no. Clock is an issue, which I didn't account for. Right, now we got our first full buy versus full buy. Let's see what these teams come up with. Quick hit by Virtus Pro. That smoke they threw that put out the incendiary grenade also masks where they're going. So even though Woxic was holding that angle, he didn't really get a whole lot of information, and you can see that because Cloud9, they kind of back up, go to more default positions. They don't know that VP is basically sprawled out in the picnic and park area because they just didn't get any information. Woxic holding a tight angle here. Woxic is known for being a much more aggressive opper, but even he doesn't hold that. Alright, now we got Floppy more or less by himself on B. Alex is kind of playing half there. Yeah, Esiteg should be able to give away the information. Pretty soon Cloud9's going to know that this is just an A-hit. Good counterfire. Now Alex is able to rotate up based on his kind of mid-positioning in the tunnels there. Catches him around back. Good stuff by Cloud9. The CT side started a little bit shaky, but it looks like they're kind of working their way back into it. Jame, of course, saving. Another new setup by Cloud9 here, going for that boost into the water, and just to find one. I like that Cloud9 is showing a lot of different stuff here. You can see that even though they do have a lot of young and more inexperienced players, I think that having Alex on this team is going to be a big help. So it seems like really good hit by Virtus Pro. Able to catch all the right people in rotation. Yeah, that came down to Virtus Pro just winning some aim duels, I think. I think that there were a lot of Cloud9 players that were in decent positions to do something about that. It's just they kind of got out-aimed. Yeah, looking at the scoreboard, Floppy is doing absolutely nothing. And like I said with that Inferno map, not only can you not count on Alex to be able to frag all the time, you really even shouldn't. And this is kind of a good example of that. Woxic able to find one though. That's really nice when you got an opper who can do that. And when Woxic is hitting his shots, he can just shut down a push like that. Couldn't find that shot there, but boy, that would be an insane flick if you were able to hit it. Let's see what Cloud9 does with this information. Looks like they're rotating everybody around again. Bringing Woxic into the tunnels. Alex is having himself a push. This time it looks like the angles are just going Cloud9's way. Yeah, unfortunately that just came down to VP having better equipment there. I think if Cloud9 had the right weapons, that definitely would have been shut down. Sanji would not have been able to get both of those kills. Now maybe it's fair to say that Cloud9 should have got those kills even though they were down on the weaponry. Good use of a smoke there based on their knowledge. Alright, that was really good teamwork by Cloud9 being able to defuse that bomb. And we gotta pause. This time Acetate pushing up by himself. Woxic gets a little bit too aggressive. That's not the worst idea. That actually looks like it was a really good setup by Cloud9. Woxic pushing that far up, which he could do it pretty safely because Acetate got tunnels smoked off. It's just that I don't think that they were counting on VP being that aggressive, especially when they didn't have a big buy coming in. I don't hate that play even though it didn't go Cloud9's way. That showed a lot better coordination and setup than they've shown in the past. Yeah, not really a whole lot to say at the end there. 1 versus 3 with very little information to go on. That was just bound to happen. Well, even though it looked like Cloud9 might have been in a place to claw their way back into it, now they're just way behind again. Nice kill by Alex, though. Showing they're not out of it yet. Not really a whole lot going on this round. VP just trying to force their way onto the bomb site just by slowly taking more and more ground, but doesn't end up well for them. They probably should have played that more aggressively considering that they had a bit more to work with in terms of weapons and utility. They just kind of stood around and waited for Cloud9 to win all the aim duels. Like, I know on the anti-eco rounds that you probably aren't supposed to rush things, but I just feel like that was very haphazard by VP. I feel like they kind of just expected to walk in and win all the aim duels. Alright. Good of Sanji to get rid of that op so Cloud9 couldn't take it. Ultimately, though, it doesn't make that big of a difference. I like this setup once again by Cloud9. Having Woxic sit there with the scout, it's not like he's standing to lose all that much money, and they do get some information off of that. They don't get the right information ultimately. Oh wow, what a shot by Woxic. Really well played by Woxic. Getting that one kill was so big. And then getting the information which allowed Cloud9 to re-rotate back around here gave them all the information that they needed and basically just wasted Cloud9 teams enough to make it back here. That was really well played by Woxic. Yeah, is Sanji even gonna try? Doesn't look like it. This time Cloud9 coming out once again with an even more aggressive setup. I do like this setup because they basically have all the information that they need about where the terrorists are going to be coming from. But the thing about pushing all the way up into the picnic area there is there are ways that you can get around that by utility uses if you're Virtus Pro. Okay, this time the aim duels are going Cloud9's way, which they should, looking at VP's setup. Good setup there by Cloud9 overall. Looks like they should be able to close out this round pretty easily. Because the way that they were all clustered together is even if VP did get a peek around that picnic area, because there were two other members of the team there, they can easily stop them from recovering that weapon. Just one of those little things that you got to think about.
Terrorists win.
Once again, trying to get something going for Woxic. Considering he's your most established player, why not? The rest of it just a really good setup by Cloud9 and that anti-eco, just isolating them, taking the aim duels basically one at a time and just letting your superior weaponry work. Not a whole lot to say about that round. I don't blame VP for trying that really quick hit like that, just didn't work out. Wow, once again, VP just really good execute by VP to be able to get onto this bomb site. Winning a couple of aim duels in there too. Yeah, not really not a lot else to say about that round. Woxic trying his best, doesn't end up finding anything. Good trade right there. Flash and then the trade flash, and Woxic has just enough to be able to see him and get the pick. I mean, one of the obvious things about the reason why Cloud9 is doing better is, you know, Woxic's been playing pretty well this map, I would say. Floppy is doing absolutely nothing, which is really worrying. He's not getting any impact kills on the CT sides. I mean, he might be playing a position that he doesn't really want to play, and I know that that was a big issue with this team when it was put together. There's a lot of people that I trust were saying that this team basically had too many of the same type of players, and that really is starting to show here because some of these guys just don't look comfortable on these bomb sites. A good counter aggression by Cloud9. Nobody managed to check that angle, so Esateg basically got to walk in for free and take those 2 kills. Yeah, not a lot going on. Quicker with the save. Nice setup there by Esateg, knowing when to go in. Alex with a bit of an aggressive push there, but it pays off. Yeah, Cloud9 are definitely looking more schooled on this map. just this is an issue right here. Floppy not showing up at all is a massive issue. And I haven't been able to do anything about Jame either. Once again, Cloud9 opting for that very aggressive water play. They want control of that. But VP looked to Monster instead. Good entry by VP, although Alex didn't have any backup and he was kind of in the middle. Not a great position for him to be in. I know he was swinging wide to try to take that angle slowly, but it was probably just needless aggression. Now Mezzi's got that info. Now it's a 4 versus 2. Nice little quick kill by Quicker getting in there, but if you're Cloud9, you gotta be checking that angle. Now Buster's able to find another. I mean, Cloud9, what they really should have done is they should have fallen all the way back into the bomb sites and make VP play into them. Instead, what they were doing is they were walking forward and playing right into VP. This is really poor stuff.
Bomb has been planted.
Wow. I don't know what to say. It definitely, it seemed like Cloud9 were a little bit more prepared for this map, but boy, it's just once again their teamwork, their ability to play together, it just seems like it's lacking.